Every year, Americans pour more than $2 billion onto their lawns to destroy the plants growing in them. Herbicides, selective sprays, pre-emergent treatments, all of it aimed at the green things that dare to grow where they were not specifically invited. And every year, in the exact same country, infections that no antibiotic can stop claim more lives than they did the year before. Today, 1.3 million deaths a year trace directly to bacteria that have learned to shrug off our strongest drugs. That is more than HIV, more than malaria. The deadliest of them all is one doctor's name with a kind of dread, MRSA. And right now, it is winning. Hold those two facts next to each other for a second, because almost nobody does. We are spending an absolute fortune to eradicate a specific category of plant. And inside the leaves of one of those plants is some of the most highly studied natural defense against the exact bacteria that is currently killing us. This is not folklore. This is documented in peer-reviewed laboratories. There is one plant in particular growing right now within a few feet of most front doors in America. Researchers have tested it against drug-resistant staph and watched it heal an infected wound. Yet people have been pulling it out of the ground in absolute frustration for 1,000 years. The ancient Saxons believed it was worth protecting. It turns out they were onto something we are only now confirming. You know this plant. You have almost certainly cursed at it. It spreads by runners that creep along the soil and root at every single node, so when you pull one strand, you leave behind 10 more. It survives frost. It survives drought. It survives the chemical assault you throw at it and comes back the next spring like absolutely nothing happened. Welcome to Nature's Lost Vault. The archive opens on Glechoma hederacea. Most people know it as Creeping Charlie, or ground ivy, or gill over the ground, but its oldest name tells the real story. Alehoof. That name is a clue, and it points to a historical crime that happened in the year 1516. But first, the plant itself. Its medicinal record is not vague. It is filled with specific names and exact dates. Galen, the Greek physician whose work shaped medicine for 1,000 years, recommended it for inflammation. Hildegard of Bingen, the German abbess and healer, recorded its use for ringing in the ears back in the 12th century. In 1597, the English herbalist John Gerard wrote it into his massive medical text, calling it a tonic, an astringent, and a gentle stimulant. By the early 1800s, American settler physicians had carried it across the ocean and were using it for so many things that in England it was simply called a cure-all. Then it fell out of the books. Not because it stopped working, because something replaced it, and that something could be controlled. To understand that, you have to understand the name alehoof. For thousands of years, beer was not made with hops. Ale was bittered and preserved with a mixture of herbs called gruit, and one of the most common herbs in that mixture was this exact plant. It clarified the beer. It preserved it. It flavored it. The Saxons brewed with it. The English brewed with it. And the names stuck. Alehoof, tunhoof, gill over the ground. All of them brewing words for a brewing herb. Here is where the history turns. The right to sell gruit was not free. In much of Northern Europe, brewing was a strict monopoly. The Gruitrecht, held by the church, by bishops, and by the nobility, who ran licensed gruit houses and aggressively taxed every single batch. The herbs were the product, and the product was controlled. Hops were different. Hops were a cultivated crop. You could grow them on a massive farm, count them, regulate them, and tax them at the point of production. A wild herb that anyone could pick for free from a meadow could not be taxed the same way. So when the rulers of Bavaria passed their famous purity law in 1516, restricting beer to only water, barley, and hops, They did something that sounded like quality control, but worked like a corporate takeover. They legislated an ancient herbal tradition completely out of existence. A free herb the common people grew themselves was permanently replaced by a crop the powerful could own. That was round one. The plant survived it, of course. It always does. But the human knowledge started to thin. Now, the part the modern laboratories are finally confirming. The leaves of this plant contain ursolic acid and rosmarinic acid, compounds that show massive antibacterial activity in study after study. In 2023, researchers ran the plant through detailed chemical analysis, isolated the ursolic acid, and tested the extract against multi-drug-resistant clinical samples of Staphylococcus aureus, the exact bacterial family that includes MRSA. It suppressed them. Then they took it further, into an animal model. An extract gel was applied to an infected wound. It brought the bacterial load down compared to a standard pharmacy ointment, and the wound completely closed, with new skin and new hair, inside of 10 days. This is a laboratory and an animal result. It is not yet a human trial. Anyone who tells you this is a proven pharmaceutical cure is getting ahead of the science. But the trajectory is undeniably consistent across centuries of traditional use and across modern study, and it points directly at the exact problem keeping infectious disease doctors up at night. But here is the most important detail in this entire archive. When modern scientists first tested industrial preparations of this plant, the standardized tinctures manufactured for a long shelf life, some of them came back showing almost nothing, completely inactive. And that is exactly how a real medicine gets dismissed as a peasant superstition. You test it wrong, you get nothing, and you write it off. These compounds are incredibly fragile. The triterpenes that actually matter are barely soluble in water, so a quick cup of hot tea pulls out almost none of them. High heat chemically degrades the delicate parts. The old healers knew to prepare it cold, or extract it in fat, or in alcohol. Not because they understood the microscopic chemistry, but because 1,000 years of quiet observation had taught them exactly what worked. Modern medicine forgot the preparation, tested the wrong version, and confidently concluded the plant was nothing. The plant was never nothing. The knowledge of how to use it was what we lost. Which brings the story all the way home, to your own lawn. This plant is still being aggressively targeted right now. There has been no real biological control research from the United States Department of Agriculture. The official answer to ground ivy is simply chemical, the exact same herbicide names sitting on the shelf at every garden store. The herb the Saxons protected and brewed and healed with is, in modern America, just a line item on a plastic bottle of weed killer. There is a terrifying, strange symmetry to it. A plant we cannot kill, that survives absolutely everything, sitting quietly in the cracks of the sidewalk. While the bacteria we are desperately trying to kill learns to survive everything we have, one of them has been on our side the entire time. The plant does not need you to water it, feed it, or protect it. It has handled all of that entirely on its own for centuries. It only needs one thing from you, and it is the easiest thing in the world to give. The next time you reach for the chemical sprayer, walk past it instead, and go look up how the old brewers prepared it cold. That single change is where the lost knowledge starts coming back. If this vault changed how you see the weeds in your own grass, then do not let this knowledge disappear again. Subscribe to Nature's Lost Vault, and the next time you walk your own yard, you will know exactly what you are looking at. The next entry opens soon. Entry.